We have come together to remember Jesus.
We have come together to remember Jesus.
2,000 years ago, God sent Jesus into the world. The world was as sad and troubled as it is today, and God wanted to love it better. Jesus is a sign of God's love.
Jesus is the sign of God's love.
Jesus was kind and loving. He cured people who were sick. He forgave people who had done bad things. Jesus is the sign of God's forgiveness.
Jesus is the sign of God's forgiveness.
But some people were afraid of Jesus. His love was too strong. He didn't take any notice of how rich or powerful people were. He was on the side of people who were weak and hurt. He stood up to those who were cruel. Jesus, the sign of God's power.
Jesus is the sign of God's power.
The powerful people thought that if they killed Jesus, they could have things their own way. They chose a horrible way for him to die, so that everyone would be ashamed of him. And some of his best friends did run away. But Jesus was strong and loving even when he was suffering. Jesus is a sign of God's strength and love.
Jesus is the sign of God's strength and love.
Some people who had learned about God's love and strength through Jesus did not run away. Even with the soldiers and the crowds all around them, they did not give in to their fear. They loved Jesus and wanted to do all they could to help him. Even if it did not seem to be very much, they were a sign of God's love for Jesus.
They were a sign of God's love for Jesus. After Jesus died, all his friends wondered what it had all been about. They were very sad. Remembering that Jesus died can make us sad too. But we remember that God's love is stronger than death.
There are people who helped Jesus on the first Good Friday. We're going to remember them today and learn how we can be like them. We can also learn from these things that Jesus said. You are not my servants, you are my friends, and I've chosen you to carry on my work of loving the world for better. Love one another as I love you. If you do this, everyone will know that you are my friends. They will know that I am alive in you, and you are alive for me. We want to be a friend like Simon.
The cross is very heavy. Jesus couldn't carry it all alone. A man named Simon for Cyrene helps Jesus carry the cross. At first, he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to volunteer. He's pushed from the crowd. Jesus is humble enough to accept help from Simon. Simon is humble enough to help him.
When we see someone struggling with something that is too big or too heavy, we will help them to carry it, like Simon helping Jesus.
We want to be a friend like Veronica.
A woman named Veronica sees Jesus and thinks he must be a criminal because he is going to be crucified. He's so hot, dirty, and bloody, yet Veronica sees beyond that to his pain. The pain she sees on his face moves her. She sees pain and yet a deep love as well. Surrounded by a screaming mob that could easily hurt her, she steps out into the crowd to help him. She stretches out her hands and wipes his face.
When we see someone who is hurt or ill, we will look after them, like Veronica helping Jesus.
We want to be friends like the world of Jerusalem.
Jesus is kind to the people who have followed him, especially the women who were brought to tears as he passed them carrying his cross. He stops to speak. Maybe he offers a prayer for them. He also says, "Do not cry for me. Take care of your children."
When we see someone who is being treated unfairly, we will care about them, like the woman of Jerusalem who cared about Jesus.
We want to be a mother like Mary.
Jesus sees his mother worrying about him. He can't help but see pain in her eyes. He stops to talk to her. I am sure he tells her how much he loves her. He knows she only wants the best for him.
When people that love us worry about us, we will remember they do it because they love us.
Like Jesus' mother loved him.
We want to be friends like Mary Magdalene and John.
Not many of Jesus' friends stayed with him. Many of them left before he died. It was so awful. But John and Mary Magdalene were loyal to the end. They were there to take his body down from the cross. They showed respect for the life it once held.
When we see someone who is sad or hurt, and there isn't much we can do, we will stay with them and care for them, like Mary Magdalene and John cared for Jesus.
We want to be friends like Joseph of Arimathea.
Jesus was dead, and the day felt very dark and scary. Most people stayed far away from the body. A man named Joseph from Arimathea asked for Jesus' body and wrapped it in fine linens. He brought Jesus' body back to the tomb cut out of rock, and the women of Jerusalem watched him do it. Then everyone went home to get ready for the Sabbath and what was going to happen next.
When there are ways we can help when sad things happen, we will do whatever good we can, like Joseph of Arimathea took care of Jesus' body.
Planting of the seeds. Jesus once said that unless a seed falls into the ground and dies, it cannot spring up to new life. Just as Jesus was raised to new life at Easter, we plant and nurture our seeds, and in time they too will burst forth into life. If you have a garden, go outside and plant your seeds. If not, use an indoor flower pot.
Doing something good is like sowing seeds. We may think that it's been forgotten or that nothing has happened, but sooner or later, the seed begins to grow, and the goodness gets bigger and stronger.
Our helping may not seem to be very big or very strong, but God can do great things with it. We may not always see ourselves, but God sees how our love and friendship spreads, and love and friendship in the world.
We are going to plant some seeds as a sign of our promise of a new life. God's sunlight and rain and our looking after them will help them grow into beautiful flowers.
Go out into the world and plant some seeds, sign of God's love for life. We ask God to bless us and our flowers, to make them grow strong and remind us about friendships and helping. We thank God for new life.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us.
And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil.
For the kingdom, the power, and the glory are yours, now and forever. Amen.
Amen.